Welcome to Real Estate Talk, where we're tackling your questions about real estate. Another good one today, Courtney. This question's about selling. How much does it cost to sell a house? And I'm just going to jump in right here too. And
Please do.
this might be sort of the sticker shock part of it too, just because I'm going to do an all-up number where I'm not talking just about, what a commission is. We're going to jump into all those costs and go through each one. But really, at the end of the day, the average across the U.S. is about 10 to 15% of the home sale price. So again, that's everything from hiring movers, getting the house ready to list, real estate commissions, adding any necessary repairs. So on a $400,000 house, that could be as much as $60,000. But of course, every home and every situation is different. So it could vary.
I'm so glad you said that, Joe, because I think some people get so fixated on the commissions that they have to pay an agent to sell their home, but it's way more than that. So can we talk a little bit about those costs? And I'll start off with
let's jump in.
In my experience as an agent, there are two main factors when it comes to selling your home. It's price and condition. Okay. And that's the first thing that I really wanted to talk about in terms of costs. When you think about selling your home, consider the current condition and consider maybe some things that you can do to get the home ready for showing, ready for photos and all of that. So for example, some of these costs pre-listing would be doing a pre-listing home inspection. Sometimes sellers want to have an inspection done even before they actually list so that they can properly disclose all of the facts about the home, the condition of the home. That cost can vary between $200 to $500 depending on the particular home and the size. Also, just note that it also could create additional disclosure requirements if you do get a pre-listing inspection done. Okay, that's probably a topic for another video.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, another potential cost are repairs. Right, you want to make sure that the roof, electrical systems, the plumbing, foundation, like all of those major systems, you want to make sure that they're in good working order. Otherwise, it might mean a headache for you later on when you're actually under contract. And so I would absolutely talk to your real estate agent to figure out, whether or not the changes you are thinking will actually pay off when you're selling the home. And then the last couple of things, again, just to make sure your home is show ready and you make the best first impression, is think about enhancing your curb appeal. That could be something as simple as pressure washing the outside, having your lawn trimmed and edged and mowed, maybe adding some plants. Those are simple and pretty cost-effective things to make a best first impression. Decluttering, cleaning your home, that could range from $150 to $250 to hire a professional cleaning service just to make sure that you're show ready. For photos, that's actually another cost between $100 to $300. And staging is another option. If your home is vacant, I highly recommend that you consider staging because, again, you want buyers to have a really good first impression at your home, and a good first impression is a lasting impression. So these are some costs that you may incur so that you can make the best first impression.
Yeah, and it's difficult to do, but as much as you can, put yourself in the buyer's shoes.
Yes.
Because if you're selling or thinking about selling, you're probably also thinking about buying, and you know what it's like to go or you're at the beginning of looking at places online and you know what you're looking for. So to try to just address that up front, either through disclosure or taking care of some minor repairs or cosmetic things, I really just try to ask sellers to put themselves in the buyer's shoes.
And really, it does make for a more pleasant sale experience.
Yeah.
It might cost a little bit of money. And, we actually have some really awesome programs here at Redfin that help our sellers. So it's worth it.
Yeah. Some of those items you mentioned might be included in the services. That's what I'm about to talk about. Not necessarily any one product offering, but just hiring an agent in general. Because as a seller, you might decide to hire a listing agent to help you with some of these things or to market the property for sale. And so it's all about what's in the listing agreement because people charge different things. I'll give an example in a minute of what that could look like. And then there's also the fact that the buyer might also hire her own agent. And so that buyer will agree to a fee with the buyer's agent. And the reason I'm calling that out when we're talking about listings is because, historically, sellers would pay all or a portion of that buy side commission as well. Again, everything's up for negotiation, and it is that buyer's obligation based on their own agreement to pay the agent. But as a seller, you might at least prepare yourself or have a conversation with your agent about what that could look like if a buyer comes and says, I also want you to take care of my agent's fee, and how that might impact your finances. So just quick example, if you have a listing agreement that's 2.5% for the listing agent to list the property, and you do have a buyer that comes along and says, I owe my agent 2.5% of the sale price as well. I want you to cover that. So now you're looking at a total of 5%. Again, back to that $400,000 house example, that could be about $20,000 in total agent fees. Just throwing an example out there.
Yeah. And the key for anticipating these costs is really connecting with your agent. And we always provide our sellers with an estimated net proceeds worksheet based on current payoff of the current mortgage that's in place, based on some of these things that we're anticipating as well. So it'll give you a really good idea of, how it shakes out at the very end.
Yeah, I mean, same example. You could also say, hey, it's great you want me to cover your agent's fee. Either you could say no to that, or you could say, I'm willing to offer $1,000 towards that fee or cover it entirely. So everything's up for negotiation.
Absolutely. Next possible expense when it comes to selling your home are concessions. So seller concessions are when the seller agrees to pay certain costs for the buyer. So for example, a buyer can make an offer on your home, but ask you to pay for their inspection or pay for a home warranty, or maybe they just need a little bit of help with their general closing costs. That could be a part of the offer that they present. And you can, as the seller, you can agree to pay that amount, a portion of it, or you can counter and flat out say no. That's something that you would want to carefully consider in relation to all of the other terms of the offer.
And then let's talk about closing costs for the seller as well. Because buyers have closing costs, and so do the sellers. So for the seller, that's usually about 2 to 4% of the home sale price. So some of the costs could include a lender's title policy, survey costs, recording fees, property taxes transfer, if you're an attorney, state attorney costs. I know I'm just throwing out a lot of terms right now. I think maybe some other episodes we should cover some of these things. But I think at the end of the day, it's sort of in this bucket of these closing costs, and it's usually around 2 to 4% of the total sale price.
Awesome. Finally, moving costs. Okay. We got through the offer. We got through, photos and the whole launch of your listing. Now you got to move. So maybe you're just buying boxes. Maybe you're packing yourself or borrowing a friend's truck to move. Or maybe you want to hire professional movers to pack everything up, load them onto a truck, and move them across town or across the country or offload them. That's going to cost you a little bit of money. That range of the cost is so expansive that it really depends on exactly what you're going to ask the movers to do and how much stuff you have. So it would be wise as you're preparing your home for photos to start connecting with different moving companies to get some estimates so that you know kind of what you can expect to pay, but then how you can position yourself throughout the whole process of selling your home.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you touched on it. It can be expensive, but then on the other hand, what's more expensive, by putting your friends or family out for an afternoon and they're resenting the fact that you're helping move? So I don't know what's more expensive, either the emotional cost or the actual cost of hiring professionals.
That is so true. If you want to keep your relatives happy, just go ahead and bite the bullet and pay that moving company, okay?
For real. Yeah, for real.
We'll provide more information on what it costs to sell your home in the description below, and we'll be back with another episode with tips to help you navigate the world of real estate. Let us know in the comments if you have any other questions that you would like us to answer in future episodes. Thanks again for joining us. We'll see you next time.